another Sedated Man episode, if anybody's watching. I would love to answer everybody's comments. I haven't actually started recording yet. Unfortunately, I can't see most of your comments because I got to focus on what I'm doing. So don't be offended if I don't wave back. It's all good. So let's get the show on the road, shall we? Welcome to another episode of The Sedated Man. This is episode 32. How to love and lead a confident wife. Now obviously I could have labeled this a lot of different things, but before we get into this week's episode, there's a reason that I missed an episode last week. I did something I've never done before, so I wanted to take a second to tell you about this. I took two of my sons and an army buddy, an old army buddy, he's not in anymore. I took them on a backpacking trip up to Bell Lake, which is a lake up outside of where I live in Montana. And it's about 3 miles from the trailhead. And I tell you this story to encourage you to go out and do things you've never done and to challenge yourself. To say, hey, I did it. Hey, I know I can do it. Hey, you can do it. All right? So, never done a backpacking trip. I have a backpack and I had the equipment to do it. Never done it. So I said, hey, you know, it's September and it's cold and let's go up to Bell Lake. I don't know what I was thinking about the time of year. It just kind of worked out that way. So we decided to go. So we got everything together. We drove up to the trailhead and I kid you not, here we are. Two of my sons, one's 17, one's 24, and I forget how old Travis is. I'm pretty sure he's early 30s. We get about 200 feet up the trail, and this trail is pretty much straight up, okay? We get about 200 feet up the trail, we all look at each other, and I could tell what was on everybody's minds. I just said it outright. I said, all right, look, I am perfectly okay if the first flat area we find, we just pitch camp and then hike the rest of the way up to Bell Lake so that we can do what we came to do, which was fish and take pictures. Well, I had my camera with me, so that was my intent, was to get pictures. And because, no joke, 200 feet up the trail, now I work out pretty regular, but I was huffing it. I had about 50 pounds in my pack. Both my sons had about 50 pounds. Actually, I think my youngest had about 40, but my other son had about 50 pounds, a little over 50 pounds, and Travis had a little over 50 pounds. So, one foot in front of the other, we went up looking for that flat spot. Well, the flat spot that we found was the perfect camping spot. The perfect camping spot. The funny part was we didn't find it until about a 5-minute walk to the lake itself. So we made it all the way up, and people looked at us like we were crazy when we passed them. We made it all the way up. Took us 4 hours to go 3 miles up the side of this mountain to get to this lake. But let me tell you something. When we got there, we were stoked. We couldn't believe we had made it. Got the greatest camp spot. We had a great time, and it was definitely a moment. It was a moment that we all needed. One of those achieving moments, because life had gotten busy for all of us. We had hardly seen each other, and it was one of those bonding moments that I'm glad we did. Was it cold? Yeah, it was cold. It wasn't snowing. That's good. But totally worth doing. Totally glad I did it. And did I hurt the next day? Well, of course I hurt the next day. Everybody hurt the next day. But memories I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So I'm glad we did it. So if you haven't done something that challenges, go out, get a buddy, get your kid, get somebody, some other guy, and make it happen. All right? Because I'm telling you right now, it may not seem like much, but in the long run, when you do it together, it makes a huge difference. So with that, on to today's episode. How to love and lead a confident woman. Like I said, I could have named this a lot of different things. And I guess you could say there's a little bit of something for everybody in this one today. Although this is still primarily aimed at men. I know that I have some female listeners. And you will get something out of this as well. So now what do I mean by a confident woman? Well, you know exactly what I mean by a confident woman. I'm talking about that live out loud woman, all right? The one that lives in fun country, okay? The one that is the hard charger that goes to get things done. Now, I'm not saying that you're not confident, and I'm not even saying that, I'm not saying you're introvert, extrovert, or otherwise, but being married to those types of women can definitely affect the man's ability to believe that he can lead, because she seems so independent that you wonder if she needs you. And she's so out loud, you're not sure why you're there, or you find it embarrassing, or, I mean, there's a plethora of reasons why, but it can lead to sedation too. But it doesn't have to lead to sedation, because when you lead yourself to sedation, it's because you've chosen the wrong path. It's because you've chosen to sedate, not because your wife is putting you down necessarily, not because your wife intimidates you. It's because you chose to let your wife intimidate you, okay? And I guess that's a good way to put it. So I've talked to a number of confident women, live out loud women, fun country women, okay? Hard charging women. And all of them consistently say the same thing, that if they could find a man worth following, they would follow him. I've had self-professing feminists say the exact same thing to me. If there was a man worth following, I'd follow him. So there is a lot of information in such a small statement. I happen to be married to a confident woman, a live out loud woman, a fun country woman. Okay, now typically these women are extroverted, all right? I myself am an introvert. Now a lot of you might be thinking, Mike, how can you do this podcast if you're an introvert? Well, public speaking and doing a podcast is considerably different than a one-on-one conversation, okay? I'm that guy who can get up on stage and tear it up and be the super awkward guy in the hallway when you want to say hello. Not because I don't like you, just because I am introverted, and those initial pleasantries are, a little awkward for me. Once I get to know you, I'll talk just fine, but it's that initial, it's a little awkward. So, but be that as it may, my wife has told many, many people that if she hadn't married a guy like me, that she would run over any other male. And I totally believe that. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's go to Proverbs. Let's get into scripture about it. So Proverbs 31 is the description of the worthy woman. Now, the interesting thing about the worthy woman is that we find out several things about the woman. We know that she takes care of her household, she engages in commerce, she girds herself with physical strength. Take a look, it's in there. She volunteers, she manages her servants, she smiles to the future, she speaks wisdom and love. She is everything that the confident woman is. She is the hard charger. All right? There's nothing non-confident or unconfident about the woman in Proverbs 31, and yet this is the worthy woman. So in a sense, if you have a hard-charging, confident, fun-seeking woman, you're lucky. You're lucky because she has all the attributes that are described in Proverbs 31. She has all the potential of Proverbs 31. Let me put it that way. So what then can we glean from that? All right. So, okay, Mike, so we know all about the woman. Well, there are things there about the guy. Now, there's only 3 verses about the man, okay? Verses 11, 23, and 28. Now, verse 11 says that the man, the husband, his heart trusts in her and he'll have no lack of gain. Says that he's known in the gates when he sits with the elders in verse 23, and in verse 28 he says he praises his wife. Nowhere does it say that he has to be a live out loud kind of guy. There's no reference to introvert or extrovert, simply that he's a respected man. That he has lived his life in such a way that he is respected by the elders of the land, known in the gates. All right? Now, the wife is engaging in all of these things because the heart of her husband trusts in her. And he will have no lack of gain. That doesn't mean that she's out building his fortune, his kingdom. That means she's out there building their fortune, their future, along with him. Now, one thing, side note, there's a huge contention that always goes on about this, whether women should work or not. The only thing that I would point out here, and I'll only say it for a moment, is I want you to notice that the worthy woman doesn't work for anybody but herself. So chew on that one. Anyway, with that, so you've got this super confident woman who works out. And I say work out because it says that she girds her arms with strength, all right? And they're talking physical strength there. So, but the point of the matter is here is the man, it doesn't say that the man is this hard charging guy. It says he's respectable. All right? And you get the impression that he does provide. All of the money coming in the household isn't just from her. Okay? If you go to Ephesians 5, Ephesians 5 and verse 25, it says, "Husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her." So we know that we're to love her and sacrifice ourselves for her. If you look in verses 28 and 29, it indicates to love our wives as ourselves. Why do you think that the heart of her husband trusts in her? Because he has laid down his life for her. He has sacrificed everything for her. How do you know, a woman will ultimately never respect a non-respectable husband. Who is a non-respectable husband? Well, one that doesn't have her back. Even when you disagree. Here's an example. Do you disagree with your wife? Now you're thinking, well, of course I disagree with my wife. We disagree with each other all the time. Okay, because disagreements, they don't have to be tooth and nail or, to the bitter end. A disagreement can just be a simple disagreement. But do you disagree with her in front of family? Do you disagree with her in front of friends? Do you embarrass her in front of the kids? Do you have to push your opinion to suppress hers? Do you not listen to her? Let me repeat what I said originally. A woman will never respect a non-respectable husband. If you are dominating in your house, you are a non-respectable husband, buddy. If you are sedating to get away from your wife, you are not leading, you're following. You have given her the crown and said, here, you do it. Do you actively show respect to your wife around family and friends? Now, what I meant originally about having her back, you don't have to, sure you can disagree. But if you disagree, have the respect to still have her back. If she doles out a punishment, for example, to the kids that you don't necessarily agree with, right there is not the place to disagree with her. Now, maybe you have a habit of each going to the side and saying, hey, do you really think that's necessary? You don't always have that option. What if you're standing in Walmart and you're trying to get things done? You back up what she says. You say, look, you heard what your mom told you, get it done. And then when you get home and it's private time, say, hey, do you think maybe you overdid that? Respectfully. I'm not saying you got to kowtow, but respectfully. The leader of the house is the servant. She wants to know, no matter how strong she is, that you have her back. You do not have to be her, you don't have to have her level of confidence, but you do have to have that level of commitment to your family. You have to have a level of commitment that says, I am always here, I will not give it up. A level of commitment that says, when you turn around, I am standing right there. How do you love and lead a confident woman? You love her, you respect her, and you protect her. The whole idea behind providing for your household is not strictly monetarily based. Providing for your household means that they have everything they need because you did what you were supposed to do when you were supposed to do it. It means you stepped up. So does your wife truly believe that you've got her back? Does she believe that she can trust you with her heart? Yeah, that heart stuff. Yeah, the stuff you're uncomfortable with, get comfortable with it. Because God was. God is. He changes your heart in conversion. Accept it. Don't accept the modern world. Don't accept the world's definition of masculinity, okay? Webster really didn't know what he was doing outside of what he could see. Trust Scripture's definition of masculinity. I mean, stop and think about it. You know, David would go out and slay, all right, as king. He was king, and he could fight, and he would slay, but then he would dance, and then he would show his kids love. He fasted for the son that died. So my point is, does your wife know that you've got this? Why am I repeating it? Because I can't emphasize it enough. How do you love and lead a confident wife? By giving her the confidence that you're there, that you're present. She's confident because her other half makes her confident. You can just as easily strip the confidence from a woman. Now, a lot of you out there feel run over by your wife, and I get that, okay? There are 1 or 2 times that my wife and I have struggled with that myself. What I would tell you is, if you continue to have your wife's back, if you step up and don't put your wife down, but simply say, you know, if you feel like she's running over you, tell her, hey, I really feel like you're stepping on me here, in this area, in this area. But doing it in a manner that's, you know, a little more loving. You know, guy to guy, obviously I can say that. Guy to woman, you can't necessarily say that, but she wants to know. A confident wife wants to know what your limits are. Don't be afraid to tell her. Don't be afraid to say, hey, really, I really don't appreciate it when you say that, because it makes me feel this way. Yeah, I know I use that ugly feel word. Get over it. Move on. Yeah, it makes me feel this way. That's okay. All right? Let her know. Have a discussion. Maybe even have a disagreement, but you're going to get to the right side of things at the end. You need her to know those things so that you can more effectively serve your family. She is your forever. That's the way you got to look at it. There is no person on the face of this planet I would rather spend time with than my wife. I just put her on a plane to take a girls' trip for a week. Granted, I tend to work a lot when she's gone because I don't like her being gone. But I like that she's getting time that she needs, because she is 100% confident that I am okay here and that I've got her back. That she doesn't have to worry about things at home because it's handled. All right? By the way, I do know how to do dishes, laundry, and cook for myself. I even know where the broom's at. Yeah. So the point is, anyway, loving and leading a confident wife is not hard. Grab that part of yourself that you know is the man within you and let her know, I got you. And I got this. And you don't have to worry. And you will be amazed how far that will go. Confident women will help you change the world. And change the world is within every one of us. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast today. A couple of things. You can find us, you'll find all of the references, all the scriptural references, and past episode links, as well as the past episode posts on patreon.com/thesedatedman. If you would like to pitch into this podcast, if you'd like to be part of the support, you can do that either on anchor.fm, which has a place that you can support us, or also on the Patreon page. When you go there to get those references or find those links, you can also support us there. If you would like to go to your favorite platform and give us a rating and review, that would be wonderful. You can find us on Anchor, on iTunes, on Pocket Casts, Overcast, Radio Public, Castbox, Breaker, and Spotify. If you would like to talk to me, you can talk to me on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, or you can reach me via email on mike@thesedatedman.com. That's mike@thesedatedman.com. You can find some things also on the Patreon page. Are links. When I said there's past links, there are links for things that help with date night. There are links for things that help with understanding money. There are links with things that help to the creation evolution debate. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. Don't be afraid to go grab it. We also offer mentoring, and I am available for public speaking. If you have any questions whatsoever, don't be afraid to email me and let me know. I appreciate you guys being here. Go out, change the world. Every one of you has the opportunity to do so, and I appreciate your time. All right. Well, you guys have an awesome, awesome day.